Welcome to week 5. My goodness, this seems like that the weeks are just flying by, and you all are doing great work. I really enjoyed your discussions about the ethics of research. It's murky, it can be at least, can be murky to decide what might be the best option to do no harm. And that is our obligation as researchers, isn't it? Okay, we are moving this week into something that seems possibly like we're stepping back. We are going to focus in on the problem statement in order to ensure that the problem we've selected is a researchable problem. You've probably already looked at this week's framework, so I'm just going to bring that up so that we can take a look at it together. The framework talks about really what the core issues are with making a problem researchable. If we go down to what Silverman has to tell us here, Silverman suggests that beginning researchers make two primary basic errors. They first fail to distinguish between the research problems and social problems. That's a big issue, and that is a very common issue. To fix this, in his terms, we need to gain theoretical sensitivity through 3 possible lenses. And we don't need to do all of these, but we do need to tighten up our problem statement. And remember that the problem is a need for this study. It's what really causes us to scratch our heads and say, I wonder what's going on here. It's an issue, a situation. And to make that situation researchable, we need to know something about the history of it. We need to know something about the politics that influence it. We need to know contextual nuances of what it is that makes this an issue that should be or can be researched. For organizations, we want to conduct an environmental scan. We want to look at what in the organization is that context. So the second problem that many new researchers have is to make it too large to really be effective in exploring. So the problem or issue needs to be narrowed. Silverman says we need to say a lot about a little problem, and we need to make that. Remember that in the research, we want to identify a gap, and it needs to be a very small pea-sized gap so that we are going to knit a bridge across it. That's what we really want to be doing with our research. We want to connect one little bit to another little bit in bodies of research. We're not going to solve the world's problems. We're not going to save the world. I guess that's what I really meant to say, isn't it? We're not going to save the world. We're just simply going to fix one little bit over here, connect it with one little bit over there. So let's just take a look at some really pretty good research problems and look at why they're good. Notice that they are in our 5 weeks resources. We click on that and we're going to find example studies. So let's just take a look. The first study is a case study, and I'm going to just go back and forth. There are 6 studies that are listed here. The first is a case study. Case studies are qualitative, at least the ones that we're going to focus on for our course this semester. it's possible to do a quantitative case study, but we're only talking about qualitative case studies here. Then we're going to go next to a survey, back to a case study, then to a survey, etc. But let's just look at the first two. Let's look first at this case study conducted by Gutierrez. Her study is entitled Mexican American Women in College, Factors Related to Educational Goals and Occupational Aspirations. Now notice, Mexican American women in college is large. Then she narrows to factors related to educational goals and occupational aspirations. Okay, what specifically, that's her title, what specifically is the problem? The problem, as she states it, is Mexican American women often cite racism, sexism, economic factors, and family obligations, as well as a lack of support networks, role models, and mentors as barriers to further educational and occupational attainment. So she has named, and noticed that she has also framed up the problem such that she has listed the streams of research, right, that she could include in her study. She says that the American women, what they call those factors that are barriers to their educational and occupational attainment. Now, we don't know yet how she intends to study this, but we do know how she has narrowed it. Now, she could have said Mexican American women at a Midwest university, because that's where she studies it. So, and notice that she is going to, but she'll bring that in when she talks, and it's actually Southern University with Texas Community College. So she brings that in her purpose statement, where she narrows it even further when she's talking about how she's going to address this study. So the purpose marries up with the problem, in that the purpose is how we address that problem. Okay, let's look at another one. This time we're going to look at a survey. This is a very tidy little study. She's narrowed it to just those folks in Idaho Falls who are accountants, and they're public accountants. They haven't hung out their shingle on their own as private accountants. These are public accountants. Then she has a study of continuing professional education attended by, so she's got continuing professional education as her focus, attended by certified public accountants employed by public accounting firms in Idaho Falls, Idaho. That's her study. That's the name of it. What's the situation here? Why was she interested in the study? So the problem addressed by this quantitative descriptive study, that brings it into survey, was the lack of statistics related to continuing professional education. She refers to this as CPE choices made from 2007 through 2011, inclusive, by certified public accountants employed by public accounting firms in Idaho Falls, Idaho. So what she's got going on here is that there was and she sets this up in her introduction. There was a change in 2007 as far as what is the available continuing professional education made available by the state or to CPAs. So what are they, and she's interested in what they actually choose, and does it align with their practice? So here's her problem. She's made it quite tight. The problem addressed by this quantitative descriptive study was the lack of statistics. We don't know what the stats are related to the choices, the professional education choices made in this time period by CPAs. And then narrows it even further, those who are public accounting at public accounting firms in Idaho Falls, Idaho. So this is what we want to do. We want to narrow our purpose such that it's got the context narrowed, and really this has a political piece too, but she doesn't actually put it in the problem statement. She identifies it in the setup for the problem. So those, we've now talked about two studies, a qualitative one and a quantitative one, where the problem statement was narrowed to be very tight. Again, you can, let's get this. You can get to that by clicking on your resources here, and this is where it is. Clicking on this will bring up exactly what we just looked at. So just open it, or you can download it if you wish. And this is what we just looked at. So you've got that available to you. And let's take us back. What we're doing in our committee discussion this week is we are discussing, we're going to go ahead and create our researchable problems and post them and discuss them. And this, I think, having our discussion, I really want you to help each other point out what you think might be ways of improving the problem statements, what ways we could actually make them tighter. So this is what we're going to do this week. It's all about our research problems. Next week, we'll move to purpose statement and research questions. When we have our researchable problem, our purpose, and our questions, we have our study frame. From there, it's real easy to build the rest of the study. All right, let's have a great week.